Hey, hey, hey! I'm so happy to welcome you on our great Meetup series, How to Become a Great CTO. And I would like to share with you why we are doing this. This is Meetup is for technical specialists who have reached a certain professional level and are aspiring to grow professionally and hold such position as CTO, head of engineering, director of engineering, and so on. This series of meetups aim to spotlight the vast tech talent pool in Ukraine. Now, more than ever, it's essential to focus on development our products and developing our products effectively. We're also committing to forming a community of existing and future CTOs. So you guys can share some advices, share business cases, ask for advice, and support each other when you launch new products. So we have different formats of these meetups. Every second Tuesday of the month, we have online meetup with mainly European and United States-based CTOs and founders. This meetup is in English, but every last Tuesday of the month, we gather together in Kiev, in Unicity Innovative Park. So book your time and calendar and see and welcome, join us actually. And I'm super thankful to the Air Force of Ukraine that they provide us such ability to do online and offline format in Kiev. So allow me to introduce myself. My name is Yana Mikhailenko. I'm a director of engineering at Turnitin. And today I will be moderating this session for you. I will try to connect a point between you, our favorite audience, and our speakers. Feel free to write questions in the chat during YouTube channel. We will ask them at the very end of the session, or probably if the question is nice and challenging, I will actually pop it up and ask speakers right away. It's a little bit different format than we had before. We have a panel today. And I've been thinking a lot about some interesting topic for you guys. This time, I decided that we need to focus more on actually building your career path to CTO. We have different types of CTO presented today here. Some of our speakers actually lead coffee time for CTOs. They're already doing something like that, and they have pretty big community. So we're going to talk this month about different paths to the CTO role. And we will try at the very end of the session provide you some tips and tricks for your current position. So please post in YouTube channel and YouTube chat what the position you are currently holding. And probably some advices from a speaker will be super valuable for you. So let me introduce our speakers. We have three speakers today. Tomek Onyszko, a CTO of Predica and host at CTO Morning Coffee podcast. Hi, Tomek. Nice to see
Hello.
you.
Hi, everybody.
The second, yeah, the second speaker is Serge Hospodareks, Executive VP of Global Engineering at Panel Site. Sorry. Can we see Serge as well?
Hi guys, here I am.
Hey. And the last but not least, Marcel Polker, co-founder at CTO at Toledo. Hi, nice to see you here.
Hi guys.
So this time I didn't do any formal introduction, and I don't specify it's actually the role and the path for our speakers, and I did it intentionally. I want you guys actually to share your stories. I would like to understand actually how. So, what is your position currently, and how do you build your position? What is your story? Where did you start? What was the most challenging? So, Tomek, you'll be first. You will be volunteering first.
Okay.
Tell us our story. Your story.
Yeah, so volunteering is always a good way to start it. My story. So currently I'm a CTO at Predica group, which is part of SoftwareOne. We got acquired last year. So the official name right now is Predica Group, SoftwareOne company. And background is Predica is a professional services company, so we do consulting. And that's my entire career, to be honest. I was doing consulting. So the funny fact is that I never worked in the, so to speak, end customer. I always was either on service provider side or as a consultant. Yeah, so never been at the bank, whatever. Had a short stint at the World Bank, but that's also I was contracting there. So my career started during the dot-com bubble, if anyone remembers when the dot-com bubble was, but that 2000s. So it started, believe it or not, I was connecting people to the internet. So my first job, like a serious job, was at something which is called internet service provider. This business doesn't exist anymore. You were just getting the cable. But back then there was a specialized companies connecting modems. Yeah. Interesting part was that what we did there was, and we are speaking 1999, 2000, we were actually running the cloud. So we got a search service services based on Windows NT, FreeBSD, and some other servers, where basically you could start your own application hosting service, do it through the web panel, just create the service, upload the code, and run it. Some people took advantage of it, and one of guys ran the Quake on our server because he uploaded ISO, clicked on it, and it started. We got a security issue then. Also, fun fact, I was hosting one of the first free mail services in Poland, and then I learned that you can host 100,000 people on a 2 gigabyte hard drive. That's economy of scale in the cloud. So that was the start. Then we turned this ISP into the full-blown .com portal. So we've built a portal for enterprises here in Poland. I'm based in Poland, Warsaw. We got IPO on the Polish Stock Exchange. And after IPO, I changed the career. I went to the consulting, some Polish companies, then worked at the enterprise consulting for HP. And later I joined Microsoft for a couple of years, also as a consultant. I worked in Kiev. Microsoft Consulting took me to Kiev a couple of times. Yeah. And then I was working mainly, and that's my focus since then, with the enterprise customers, different scale, sometimes Fortune 100, sometimes local, but on a different scale of enterprises, banks, telcos, education, utilities. And in 2009 or 10, I quit Microsoft and I started Predica with 3 other guys. And then for the last 14 years, I was building a company. So we started when I joined, because I started my small gig, and then we joined forces. So when I joined, we were 10 people. Right now we are 400 something, based in Poland. Over time, we basically built a business in 6 different locations. So we were in Poland, Dubai, Qatar, Denmark, Germany, and United States in San Diego. Got it to 100+ million of revenue, and here it is. I'm a CTO of a professional services company. So that's my story in the nutshell.
Awesome. So congrats on acquisition. I do believe that.
Thank you.
It's sometimes it can be painful for founders, but again, it's a really big advantage.
That's kind of the way, so to speak. Yeah, it's part of the experience. By the way, I'm still with the company. Yeah, so I'm still work with the Predica.
Okay, lucky Predica that is having you actually. Thank you so much, Tomek. And our next speaker is Serge. So Serge, hi from Ukraine. I know that you're located in Greece right now for vacation. Thank you for joining us. And what is your story?
Now I'm in Greece. Next week I'm in Cyprus. Okay, let me tell my story. Just stories. Usually European story. I was born in Germany, and I actually grew up, went to school there. I learned physics. I loved actually technical things. Yeah, so I started learning how to build nuclear reactors. I always loved this. Then my mother is Ukrainian. I went to Ukraine, and that's where I went to university. And I decided I want to learn not only how to build nuclear reactors, but how to program them. So now I can build and program nuclear reactors. At some point, I started working. My first job was like no fun, no kidding. It was UX designer. Then I started working as a developer and moved to Cyprus. In Cyprus, I lived for around 2 years, created a few platforms with and built something like 4 million revenue, annual recurring revenue for the company. It was good fun. Yeah, building team, building profit for company, and also living in Cyprus, right? After some time, I started loving, English poetry and English language. So I moved to Ireland. In Dublin, Ireland, I lived for 10 years. I became Irish, but also I found my path. I just went from technical leader to engineering manager, architect, director, it's like VP of engineering, global head of engineering, all this stuff. So organization was like, my biggest organization was 300 plus people. Typically, I run engineering, right? So it's typically like a few teams in Japan, a few teams in Europe, some teams in the United States. I'm traveling here and there, and that's where is my heart. Yeah, at some point I was head of product, but it's not my real strength. My real strength in engineering, right? I just realized, I just counted right now. Last 3 months I will visit like 16 countries, and last 3 weeks I was like Australia, India. Now for a few days I was in Poland, now Greece, and then Cyprus. I love traveling. I love different food, and I love everything about engineering in general. So at some point, when I was traveling, I worked as a fractional CTO, but mainly I love running engineer teams and connect people. That's in short about myself.
Wow, 16 countries. That's a lot of traveling for sure. But when you say you're Irish, I'm trying to understand. Are you Irish in soul? Are you Irish because of passport? What does it mean to be in Irish for you?
Both it means both. Yeah, what does it mean to be Ukrainian? Yeah, it's here, right? What does it mean? So I'm still Ukrainian, I'm still just partially German, but the same as I'm Ukrainian, I'm Irish. I adore Irish nation, same as I adore Ukrainians have amazing spirit, Irish have amazing hearts and beer. Honestly, very great people, amazing people. Yeah, so different nations, but so amazing nations. It's
Okay,
my two
okay.
wings in my life. That's it.
You have a pretty interesting title, actually. And since we're going about career here, Executive VP of Global Engineering. What does it mean?
It means that, for example, it's not the first time I'm having such title. Typically, there is different flavors of CTO. There is CTO who managing a huge amount of people. There is CTO who are more CIO, who is more tackling security and yada yada. There is CTO who is not doing managing at all. My current manager is Ray Kreisel. He's one of the most crazy CTO in my life, in good sense. He's also my friend, and he loves to run a bit different set of events. So he loves speaking with customers, running products. He also used to be an architect, but day-to-day management of huge amount of teams and processes as DLC, he prefers to delegate to somebody. So that's, for example, when you need such a person, typically you need executive VP of engineering who you can assign 100 plus people, and then you can concentrate not only on engineering but also IT, security, product, and other parts. So typically, executive VP of engineering reports to CTPO, Chief Technology Product Officer. That's what is my case.
Okay. Thank you so much. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And we have a third speaker today, Marcel. Marcel, I know that right now you're located in Berlin, and it feels like we have something German today because 3 out of 4 folks on this meetup are related to Germany. By the way, I was also born in Germany as Serge. You right now live in Berlin. I'm not sure if Tomek has any. Oh, he opened an office in Germany, software engineering office, I believe. He mentions that. So it feels like we are connected. But tell us your story.
Yes, thank you. Speaking right now here from Berlin, heart of Germany, heart of the tech scene. And first of all, welcome everyone. I think it's really great that you join these kind of events here. I think it can be very helpful, and I'm also happy to just share experience which might be helpful to you. So I will go a bit further back, also from before I studied, I had no idea what I should do. So in case you are in that situation, I think I can calm you down. Basically, you'll find your way by just following your passion. For me, it was the same, really, that I always was interested in technical things, always liked to solve, puzzles and this kind of challenges. So I kind of just naturally was good in that, even school. And besides that, I was really bad in school. but then I studied that, and I became just the best student in that. So I finished best in class in bachelor, and same with master. So I need to drink something briefly.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I've seen that in your portfolio. Okay.
Yeah, so I became, sorry, live with rock here.
No worries, no worries.
By the way, can you say this in English? Now it's it was a German phrase, having a frog. I don't know if you can say that. So yeah, basically, I was best in class, best in both bachelor and master. Got a scholarship even, for the achievement there, which I only say because I knew what I wanted to do now, but the situation wasn't becoming easier for me, because now you have many options, from not knowing, what you want to do, again in a situation, what do you want to do, but this time because there's many options. So I went to the valley, for example, but when I was there, this is I don't know, more than 50 years ago, I was disillusioned, by how life is there versus how it's in Europe, and I preferred to stay in Europe here, and joined the Berlin startup scene. At that point, it was a scene which was kind of in its early stages, not as early as the .com bubble, but compared to now, still relatively early and not so mature. So many people claim to to do a startup, but what I prefer to say is always you run a business, basically. It's not just a lifestyle that you have here. You have responsibility to run a business. My career in Berlin started by joining Pay11, which at some point has exited to SumUp, which is probably the name that you guys remember or know. And I joined that with the mindset of becoming a manager, because for some reason I was just bored by this typical approach that you would take as becoming a junior developer, mid-level, senior, and eventually you become a manager. I just liked the idea of just being in this position earlier, and managing people, and kind of using your technical skills that you have, but add this component of the human component to it, essentially. And I did that basically for 2.5 years. Built up multiple sub-departments of that company. Was leading many teams there. Was responsible for the different countries that were operating with a headquarter in Berlin. So I was kind of the right hand to the CTO, and that was basically also the next steps that I could have taken there. But then I've decided to do this with my own company. So that is Toledo. It's a recruiting company that combines, the idea of having a platform, so technology, but on the other side also this service component, which we call the human touch. And I've been doing this for about 8 years, and currently transitioning out of that role, because there was some life events happening. I got married last year. There's my son was born 1 month ago, so many things changing. Yeah. This is real. This is a real change. This is probably more change than you have just managing the IT team. This is life changing, really, and I'm about to get into that new role. But yeah, with this and foresight, I decided to step down on my role, found a successor on my role there, and currently do what also Tomek described, kind of some advisory for companies, who might be in a difficult situation, might need some technical assessment, might need just some fresh perspective, essentially, and to help the company with my experience.
Awesome. Are you focused on early stage companies or different stages companies, different sizes? But did you
Yeah,
consult?
I mean, Yeah, typically not extremely early. So ranges are a bit more like growth phase, not corporate though. So can be, for example, the transition of being, founder-led to like, some management-led, or where you see like, okay, the founder needs a change in role essentially, for example. This can be one stage, for example, but it can also be a bit before that. But typically, you would only get so much expertise if you have already grown a bit, so it wouldn't be like extremely early stage. Even though, I mean, I would also probably not say no to that. It has its different challenges. It's I really remember the early days and how fun and great that also was.
Oh yeah, for sure. Lots of hustle. That's true. That's true.
A lot.
So it's going to be a question for all of you guys, but Marcel, we'll start with you first because right now,
Sure.
yeah, your mic is enabled. Can you please describe us your management structure, a management structure layer under you? Do you have any individual contributors reported to you? Do you have any managers? What's the size of your team? Where is it located, and so on?
Yeah. So I need to say, I speak with a mindset of also being a founder of that company, right? So I think this is one distinction to make as well, like being a founder and a CTO, which basically means I've gone through many different phases of that company, from initially working everything myself. I mean, in the end, I was like the technical co-founder and built everything myself. So in that role, it's important to realize in what phase the company is. And because obviously it's changing, and initially it's changing fast, and also going a few years in, it's also still kind of changing fast. So I think it's important to realize, okay, what is my role? Because many things change in the company, really, like everything in a startup in particular. It's so fast, but the only thing that doesn't change, especially like if you're in a founder position, is your title. The job title does not change, but the role changes. And that's quite a lot, actually. It changes a lot. So you need to realize this at some point. Okay, what is the company needing right now? And realizing what the company needs right now to change what you do and change the structure also and you operate in, right? So the first phase is basically to add some kind of other management, some kind of. So first you direct other people, then you get another layer in basically, and then you need to train the second level management, which is a different thing to set up essentially. And this is the structure, that we had basically when I handed over my position. Yeah, so this kind of hierarchy, still rather flat. I'm a fan of like keeping things rather small and rather flat. But at some point, you also need to think like, how much can you actually, handle yourself?
Okay. But how many directs did you have?
Well, it changed over time. So in the end, it was probably around, 7, 8, something like that, And it's hard. Like, I mean, of course, you still have many touch points with other people, right? But you need to try also to get out of this position, because you want to really establish the second management, that people talk to them, right? So you try to kind of like reduce that. But there was still one team where I was like, which was basically still my team, and that would have been the next step to also like hand that over.
Okay, thank you. And Serge, Tomek, are you ready to share your management structure under you, the number of your direct reports?
Sure, yeah.
Easy. Go on, Tomek.
Yeah, so, but by the way, before I will jump to this, I was raised on the German border in Poland. I mean, literally on the border crossing
German
with Berlin. So, yeah. But the funny part is that I don't speak German. That's the only language I was officially being trained on, but I don't speak it. Yeah, so, whole story behind it. But yeah, that's my German connection. My mom still lives there. On the other connection, my first job was actually web developer as well. And the really funny point is that when I was doing a talk about my career, I found out that one of the websites I did in 1990s is still up and somebody is paying for it. Yeah. And I was
Really?
like, wow.
Yeah,
It's achievement for sure.
Yeah, it's achievement. Okay, org structure. So it doesn't really matter. I will second a bit what Marcel said, because so I was doing the company for 13 years, 14 right now. Yeah. And at the beginning, you do whatever you need to do. By the way, I was head of marketing when we were grown up, 200 people. I was head of marketing for a company. Yeah. By the way, being CTO, I was head of marketing. Yeah. The thing is that you will have a different structure and you will have to step into different shoes, depends on the size of a company and so on. And I think that the one advice I can give here right away is that you will have to change it over time. Yeah. So the companies, the 10 people company, 20, 80, 100, 150 is completely different. And it more comes down to the fact that you need to figure out what jobs you have in a company and name those jobs, and then who is playing those jobs. That's different. Yeah. So when we were 80, I got my team. I was responsible for a part of a delivery team, and I got 10 direct reports in a consulting, and then there was some delivery guys as well. Yeah. So I got 15 to 20 people in my team, 1/4 of a company. Yeah. But then it is evolving over time, and it also depends on a type of organization and the role of a CTO. I think Serge said that there are different types of CTOs, and that's really, you need to understand what is, like, there is a one main job you're doing. You need to connect technology with the business. That's one. That's like given. Yeah. Now how you do it is different. Yeah. And don't fool ourselves. Typically, you become CTO because you're the geeky one of the founders. Yeah. So when there is one to founders, somebody is becoming CEO, then there is a CTO, and that's it. Yeah. If there is a 3 people, so one is becoming head of sales or whatever. Yeah. And that's reality. But then once you're getting grounded, you have some traction with the business. So basically, this division of responsibility is required. There is also a couple of other things required, and this is where you basically need to define like what CTO is doing in your organization, your company. Yeah. So in my role currently, I have only 2 direct reports. Yeah. Why? Because the skill, and I'm probably going a bit farther ahead, but the skill is that you need to do stuff by influencing others, not by managing them. Yeah. Because my job in the organization is basically to make sure that whatever we are doing makes sense technically, that we have a direction, like where we are going, what we are doing, what we are not doing. And if there is a challenge, that I will support the team with this challenge. Yeah. So basically, in an org structure, directly, I have 2 to 3 people. We call them technical fellows. So they are like, let's call them free electrons. They are also not part of any team, but if we have an important project or there is a challenge in an organization or in a project, so then they jump in for a short period. Or if we need to decide, for example, that are we doing this technology or not, or this is new technology, we need to onboard it, who will dig into it. Yeah. But then I have let's say, connection to the other head of departments and so on, because yeah, I don't have and that's the challenge of being CTO in this position, that I'm not their direct manager, but I need to influence what they are deciding on the business side. And so we have like a dotted connection, but in the direct org structure is it's very small. I maintain 2 to 3 person team. That also comes down to the realization what is your let's say strength. One of the important points in my career was to decide not to try to improve my weaknesses, but to play on my strengths. And managing the large team of people is not my strength. I don't find it funny. So it's better to use your strength, which is maybe tackling the problems. But I found it, so that's my example, but I saw many organizations working like that, that there is the entire, let's say, delivery team, product team, and so on. And very often the role like a CTO is on the side with a very small team, because that's more like influencing decisions and the hand to the CEO, who basically, when my CEO needs to make a call on some technical decision, he will ask me for advice, or he will put me in front of those guys and say, like, talk to Tomek. He will speak with you about what you are doing, how we are doing it, and so on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we covered a little bit topics that we're going to discuss further, but thank you. And Serge, do you have a founding experience?
A bit, yeah. Yeah, I worked in more or less DD stages and exit companies from both acquisition and being acquired. The only one type of company, and also typical type, I didn't work where it's like my own startup. Yes, this I don't know.
Okay. We have diverse
for example,
background here for sure. Okay.
One day, my wife is like, "Serge, it's time. One day." Anyway, to answer similar what Tomek described, like for example, my current manager, we worked together 7 years ago. That time he was CTO in the company and he had no reports. Now he's my manager. He has reports here, here, and here. It all depends what business needs. It's 100%. Yeah. My typical approach when you have a large organization, 100 plus people, is if you read Will Larson book, how did we call this particular part? Elegant Puzzle. So I contributed to this book, and the part of the book which describes our organizational structure, it's a lot. It's like 50-50 we wrote with Will, more or less. Typical approach. Yeah. First, make sure that you have the business goals which you want to prioritize structure for. It's always enable business. That's the only way. Otherwise, I'm sorry, something's wrong, right? Secondly, make sure that you're enabling convoy law. Convoy law is very simple. Yeah, structure of your organization defines and repeats the structure of your products, defines and repeats the structure of product management, the sales and everything. This is the law of life, if you wish. Yeah. Speaking technically, it means every manager starting. So engineering managers typically have from 2 to 4 teams to manage. Directors have up to 5-6 direct reports. Typical law is around, if you have more than 7 reports, something's wrong. Yeah, then you need to reiterate and make sure it's not more than 7 reports, right? It's like a target. Make sure you have individual contributor and manager pass. It's like, it can be, it's just very different. Applies for both SRE, applies for both the developer operations and security, depends on the size of your organization. Currently, I have 5 direct reports. Typical my rule, if it's more than 9, I'm not paying enough attention for people. I'm doing my job wrongly. That's it. Then I'm reiterating. That's it. More or less.
Where we can buy the book that you contribute into Elegant Puzzle?
Amazon.com. Yeah, just like so. It's
okay.
Here.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to actually put it in the link into the description of the this video, actually, the stream, so folks can read it and buy it. Thank you. It's pretty interesting.
Sure.
Guys, do you have a contribution in any books except Search? Did you write any books?
Long time ago. You can find it, but not relevant anymore. I mean, I wrote a lot in the past. I'm still writing. So I wrote some books on the Windows NT security. That was 2000s and so on.
Okay.
And by the way, so I was chief editor for one of the magazines printed in Poland in the past. We basically did it for a year and a half. I had my blog and so on. Books, it takes a lot of time. So I basically just decided not to do it. Maybe I will do it right now, have an idea for it. But writing is highly recommended. I have my blog, and then I have an article which is the single skill you need to learn, and that's the writing. Because, and I quoted, I don't remember from whom, but I borrowed this, that literally in your career later, there are 3 skills you need to master, and it's writing, reading, and speaking. Yeah, and it's better to master them early. Just started, because in the end you will have to write, read, or speak, and that's it.
Yeah, Microsoft PowerPoint presentation as well goes to that for sure. Okay, so since we already covered some topics, actually, let's dive deep into that. And I know, guys, that you have a pretty interesting actually background. Tomek used to be a chief editor and head of marketing. Let's talk about different types of CTO and actually the most common path from individual contributor to CTO, according to your experience. And Marcel, I'm going to point on you.
Yeah.
And challenge you with this question. first?
Yeah, I think first of all, the question is like, why do you want that, right? I mean, this is like you should be clear on why you want that and for what kind of company you want that to be, right? I mean, it's a completely different thing to be a CTO for a corporate, for a growth startup, or just found your own company, right? So that's extremely different. So I think get clear on that, and then in the end, not shying back from the title, basically. So I'm not a big fan of title hunting. In fact, like I don't really care about it. But you shouldn't shy away from the challenges, basically. I see, especially on the developer folk, basically they are always a bit shy, or tend to be shy. Typically introvert. And not really jumping in, taking a leap, basically. And I think this is something that is required here. So there are many ways to get there. There's always opportunities out there. So one is, for example, to start your own company, make it a success, grow with it, and then you have that. You can also just take a role, basically, that goes in the direction of being a CTO, right? Where you have basically these responsibilities, and it doesn't need to be the CTO title, right? I mean, don't go for titles. Growing via titles and entitlement is really the wrong approach. It's more about the skills that you learn. And on that note, I liked what Tomek said before. It is really about the other skills. I personally believe that as a CTO, you need to have more than just technical skills, because you are in a central position. You need to as has been said, influence others. You need to cooperate with others. You need to find solutions by talking to non-technical people. You're the translator oftentimes, unless you really decide just to be completely on the technical side. But I find this harder to find, a CTO title right away. You might just possibly grow into that, and have the option to then say, I will only do the technical part, but you benefit from having more skills. So. What does that all mean? I mean, to give you one concrete advice, book your next public speaking gig. That's one step to become a CTO. Yeah, it's kind of like it pushes your boundaries. It makes you grow personally. You will need to do some talking, which is important. All of these things I think you will benefit from in your career. What I personally believe is not the right approach. Simply learning the fifth framework or the sixth programming language. This, in my opinion, will not lead you to the CTO title.
Okay. So it means leave your comfort zone and talk to people.
I hate
in a way, yes, but in a way, yes, but also, don't just focus on the technical side of it. That's the important part.
It's all about people, always. It's not about technology, it's about people. About people and business.
Yeah.
So the thing is, look, you ask the question, what is the most common path? Yeah. And
Yes.
the most common path is that the CTO is actually the best coder on the team. That's the most common path. There's somebody who is more experienced than the others, or who is more skilled in coding than the others. And this guy or girl is becoming a CTO of a company. And that will take you only so far. I mean, for a 10 people startup, that's fine. Yeah. Right. Then you're growing, or you're going to a bigger organization, and the more you're working actually on this path of, and maybe not even focusing on CTO. We have as you said, I'm leading a CTO morning coffee community in Poland with two other great people. One of them is head of engineering from Revolut. The second is the architect from AWS with being CTO in the past. And we call it technical leadership, because what we are speaking here is actually being a technical leadership. That's better approach, because that's you might be in a technical leadership position being individual contributor. You might be technical leadership being CTO or head of engineering. What will not take you there is coding, really. That might give you the visibility at the beginning, and that's really good. That might give you the understanding of the technology. It's important to stay hands-on as well to some degree or extent. I posted a link, you can share it later. I gave a talk how to become a CTO, architect, or consultant with fellow from Poland, exactly on this topic, because that's a different path. So the biggest difference is, So I will give you also the concrete example. I was advising one of the CEOs here in Poland, and why I was advising him, because he was trying to change his business from software on premises to software in the cloud as a SaaS. And he got a CTO, and CTO was giving him technical answers. And he said, like, look, can you help me with I don't want technical answers. I can get people who will draw with me the diagram, whatever. Yeah, I need the answer how to change the business, not how to make the software running as a SaaS, because that's easy part. Yeah. So the most common path is actually somebody who is deep technical is being elected in the organization as a CTO or head of engineering. Then we got an interview in our Twitter Spaces, CTO Morning Coffee, with the CTO of Booksy. I don't know if you know Booksy. That's a startup from Poland, but actually they got pretty successful. And he's working with this founder for many years. And when when Booksy got really serious, they got a founding, whatever. Stefan Batory, the founder of Booksy, took this CTO and he said, look, we were going through this together. We got this couple of startups behind us, but this stuff is serious. And it might be that you will not be the right guy for a job, because so far you were focused technical and I don't need technical anymore. And he said, that's fine. If you will not want to do this job, I will find somebody else. You will be the leading engineering. Yeah. And they got this agreement and they went for it, and he's still CTO, but he's doing a different job. Yeah, because when we asked him even like what you were doing since Booksy got founding, and he said, I was hiring. That's his job, like hiring people. Yeah, because you need to hire the right engineers to lead the product. Yeah.
Oh yeah, super important job to hire right team and right people actually to join. But I believe it's a separate conversation. Go ahead.
To kind of like be concrete about like what what the audience can do. That's another great example. I think try to get in the hiring process of your current company. Try to get exposure to these kind of situations.
Let me share a bit of my experience. For example, my friend, I told you that half year ago I was working for a few months as a fractional CTO, right? Who's fractional CTO? When you more or less have time and you can work as a contractor, and company, for example, is acquired or want to acquire something, and they want a professional who is seasonal, like professional with technology, with product understanding, with business understanding, who they trust, and who in short period of time can resolve their needs. Maybe reorganize the team, maybe pivot from on-premises to cloud, something, right? Something what can be done in limited amount of time by professionals. That's what I was doing. It's a very interesting type of job. And my friend, who is CEO of the company, he hired me for this task. And you know what he told me? I'm hiring you now. I asked, like, what changed? Because 5 years before that, he said me, Serge, you just cannot do this stuff. And half year ago, he said me, Serge, I need you. And you know what he told me? Because now you're not trying to solve everything with technology. I changed. Now I need. Now he needs me, because that's the skill. It's not only about technology. It's I'm sorry, I'm still very technical. I'm coding in the nights. I love it. But if I don't understand the business, if I don't know how to work with people, if I cannot enable like hiring and other parts, out. Your technology is just technology. But together with this and this, you are the guy.
Coding by night is not your job anymore. Yeah. And
I still doing this. And I love it.
No, I mean, all of us are doing it. It's just not your job, because when we are speaking about any job, there are two different things. One is what you're doing, other is what is expected from you. And if you're doing something different than is expected from you, you are not in the right position. Yeah. So, for example, even in this talk we were giving with my friend, one of the main points is that on the path to become a CTO, technical leader, whatever, you won't be a smartest person anymore. Like, you won't be the guy who knows everything, who people are asking. I was this guy, and too long I was attached to being this guy, and then somebody kicked me in my rear part and said, like, look, you cannot do it anymore. You cannot answer the question first, even if you know the answer. Yeah. And that's the skill. Like, you're sitting in the room with the smart guys, you know the answer, and you need to wait for them to tell you this answer. Yeah, so for example, that's part of it.
Okay. So again, this different background. We discuss a common path to CTO being technical coding. For sure, we need to change mindset.
Do,
What
do you want to
about
discuss Sorry, do you want to discuss something else? Flavors of CTO. Remember, wartime CTO, peacetime CTO. Do you want to discuss this? Oh, this is a different skill.
why not?
This is a
Different
very
organization
different.
CTO.
Correct, guys. I'm sorry. 1 year ago, many organizations started this trend of, I'm sorry, cutting the workforces and everything. It was crazy hard for everyone. Yeah, there is no good layoff. There is no good shrinking down. Never. Yeah. And we all needed to be wartime CTO. It's so hard. It's super hard. Yeah. Peacetime CTO, it's when your company is growing. For example, my company is growing. It's good problem to have. It's a very different skill set. I'll be honest. Yeah. When you wartime CTO, you need to go beyond anything, right? You need to find customers. You need to fight to make sure that you're enabling your products and your business is growing. Otherwise, it will be either you or people or both laid off, a company closed. When it's peacetime, remember Google, usual story. When Google was growing for 15 years, it's a best company in the world, everything for developers. It's so interesting. It's so different skills. What is your experience, guys?
So I think that the main point here is that exactly the job, and I think you said it, or Marcel at the beginning, like your job will be different, depends on the type of organization you're in, size of the organization, and the stage. Yeah, because you can, and that's why title doesn't say a lot. Yeah, I'm a CTO, and Serge might be a CTO, but he's working for a product company. I work for a professional services company. That's totally different job. His work is focused on enabling the product, selling it, and so on. Mine is on choosing what we are doing, convincing this to the major customers, overseeing creation of the professional services proposals, working with a key customer. Yeah, there is a CTO on the other side. Our biggest customers are 100,000 plus 150,000 people. Yeah, they have somebody who is leading engineering, and basically they have a vendor like myself, and they expect that I will be the person speaking with them. Yeah, they need somebody, and because they need somebody to ask about advice. That's, by the way, if you don't like, if it's a secret, the people who are leading the organization, they need to ask other people what to do, and this is how they know what to do sometimes. Yeah, so basically, then you are this person they are asking, like, look, what to do with this. Yeah, the different paths. So when you are thinking about it, you need to think where you want to be. You want to be in a startup, which is service like SaaS. That's a bit different than the product which is released as a product. Yeah, maybe right now the border, like the difference is smaller, but there is product which is shipped like physically. By the way, the spin-off from my company is a company which is doing the smart device, the smart lock, Teddy. And believe me, the job of somebody being a CTO who is shipping the physical device, that's a challenge. Because then you're being bothered with what kind of plastic you're using. Yeah, and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Being a CTO of an enterprise, that's different because mostly you're deciding what project to run. Are you overseeing the network? Are you upgrading the system? Whatever, you're being the face for vendors. Being CTO of professional services, as I said, is about enabling the business to be done, to be honest, and enabling the business to be done in different areas with the customers, with marketing, with guys who are consulting for them to know what we are doing, with vendor. Like I worked a lot with Microsoft, so I need to know what they are doing. Yeah, so different types of jobs depends where you are going to land.
Okay. What about the most outstanding types of CTOs that you ever met? For example, I know some folks who held a degree in art, and actually they started their own companies. They were pretty nerdy. They didn't do any coding before, any maths or technical background before, but they were pretty successful. One of the best engineers, engineers for sure that I know. What about your experience? Head of marketing is interesting one. Have you met a CTO who didn't have any technical background but had other background, but they were pretty successful? It's good cases.
That's an interesting one, because I think actually you need, as a basic requirement, you need to know your stuff, right? I mean, you even if you're in the position that you like in the end have other people, that that you ask for their final advice, you need to be in the position, that they respect you, and in the end you stand behind the decisions that either you make or you get from the team. But in the end, it's your responsibility. So really, not having any background, I find very challenging. Even though your story is inspiring, I wouldn't necessarily advise that. Like, on the other hand, the best CTOs and to an extent leaders, I would say, are the ones, in my opinion, that are just really charismatic. That you want to work with. Because you need to motivate people. Basically, you need to be able to trust them so that they have your back. Basically. That's I think very important. So to an extent, I think it's again the different skill set, different mix of skills. So hands down, know your tech stuff, be a good leader, and have a touch for humans. I think these were the best ones that I came across.
Okay. Serge, Tomek.
I was in the story when CTO became a person who was CFO and mainly never was touching technology for a while, yeah. And I would be honest, for some time it was looking not bad. Everyone learned very good finances. Very well. Yeah, I'll be honest. But unfortunately, trajectory of the company went a bit not good because it was product company. When you just like doing
And
products, you need
let's ask you a
technical
question.
CTO.
What was the database technology? It sounds like it might have been Excel.
So honestly, that was a good exactly. So honestly, at some point, I remember a meeting where we just like let's use Postgres. It was like the time of SQL, MySQL, and everything. And it was like, why you need Postgres? You can use like I. It was exactly discussion. I heard that Excel can be used as a database. I'm not kidding. At some
Oh
point,
my God.
UK was using Excel, online Excel as a database. It's possible, but why the hell you would do it? But yeah, it was a very interesting discussion.
Still works.
It's a bit different type of skills.
But it's a bad experience. So you're saying it happened in your life, not probably the best experience ever, not recommended to follow any successful stories from person, be it not specifically an engineer. Let's narrow it down. Not being an engineer, not doing the coding, but probably being technical and being a successful CTO. Do you have this?
I would say if you formulate a question a bit differently to say, okay, it is a technical person, it is a person that likes problem solving, but then has an interesting edge, then I would say yes, because the people that I have in mind had, interesting hobbies, for example, I mean, I don't want to put myself in the position, but I mean, basically, for example, I was I was a musician for a long time. I mean, still, it's a big passion of mine. I've played in many bands. Drumming being my main instrument, piano the second. And I think I don't know. Like, it seems to be a pattern that people who are also like interesting hobbies. Like one, for example, that I have in mind right now was like a hobby race car driver. Like him basically engineer. He really liked the engineering part of it. So maybe with this addition to it, being a technical person but having an interesting hobby, then I would say yes.
Okay.
Tomek? I have a story, Tomek. Maybe you first.
So if you have a story, you can go for it. I haven't met anyone who was on a technical leadership board who wasn't kind of technical. Yeah. So the background was always like being the developer, being some kind of engineering part. Yeah. I cannot name the person from the past which was leading the technical part of our organization in any form, which wasn't with the engineering background. Now, a lot of people have interesting backgrounds before becoming engineering. Yeah, like if you will travel to US, the common story is they were military, and after military they become engineering. Yeah, so yes, I was chatting with some people who are like literally, and in the context of Ukraine, but literally, like, taking part in the combat operations as a heli pilot. And then he finished a couple of duties, and then he decided that the job should be done. By the way, there is a really one good example. My friend, let's say, because we've met pretty recently, Ben Ford, he's from UK, and he was a Marine. He was in UK Marine Corps, and he was on deployment to Afghanistan. And basically, literally, he bought a laptop and a book how to code, because the trip on the aircraft carrier was taking like 3 months or something. And he learned how to code without internet there during this trip. And then he finished his duty in Afghanistan, and he got back, and right now he's running a company advising other companies how to do tech. Yeah, and he was also a developer and so on. Yeah.
Amazing.
So he was, it's more like a story, transition from military. And by the way, transition from military to tech is very common, not only in US. Yeah.
Okay, but is it anything specific about the leadership style for these CTOs? Being more direct.
So there is a very specific thing about people who are coming from military background, and I'm so one of my interests in kind of private but also personal is strategy, and there is a lot of strategy concepts in the military which are directly can be applied to the product, whatever. One of them is, I don't know if you've heard, guys, UDALOP, Observe, Orient, Decide, Act. And that's something which basically can be translated directly to the product development, whatever. And a lot of those people who are coming from military background, they are familiar with this concept, because that's the concept how you are leading the combat in US, UK, right now in Ukraine as well. So it's the combat pattern used by West military, and then they are applying the same pattern to development, organization, whatever. So yeah, they are transitioning a lot of patterns, organization styles, and so on from military to the tech, and that works pretty well from what I observed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even tactics and strategy. These terms coming from military. So much from our life coming from military. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I tell my story? So not my
Sure.
story. CTO with who I work in, it's so funny. So take a look. When I went for traveling half year ago, for 3 months, I was traveling in Asia. Yeah, I was in South Korea, and I got a call from my friend who is Ray Kreisel, CTO of my current company, and he was like, "We acquired a company in India. We have 50 developers here, 50 there, 50 there. Do you want to meet in India in 2 days?" And I was in India. This guy, you can also just see his site. At some point, he was not technical. He made some money on playing on the course of the shares of Microsoft and yada yada. So it's not technical skills, it's a bit different financial skills, right? And then he went traveling in Asia. 7 years he lived in India, north of India. 5 years he lived in China. And at that time, he started learning how to fix internet, how to make internet. At that time, it was 20 years ago. China, that's areas where he lived, there was no internet and other parts. That's the most interesting person in my life so far, at least. Yeah, and believe me or no, he learned very fast. So after that, he didn't lose. He gained the ability to read people, to learn people, to appreciate people, and be authentic wherever you are. He has friends who are, crazy rich people, and same friends who are not as rich and just different people. It's an amazing story. I learned a lot. That's why, I love traveling and just go this. So this is a story of person who was not technical. At some point decided that he loves the technical path, started learning programming, started learning IT, security, when he was around 30 plus. Now he's CTO. Enjoy.
That's also a question, how to approach this question, because when you ask most interesting CTOs or technical people. So by the way, my background is that I used to work a lot with Microsoft. I was part of Microsoft. My company is connected technologically to Microsoft. Maybe it's not that fancy right now, but it's a solid tech for enterprise, at least. And I've met guys there. If you will go to the crowd right now, on any startup fest, whatever, they don't know those names. But I've met at Microsoft, distinguished engineers. Yeah, so guys like Marcus Inovich, Don Boggs, Jeffrey Snower, and so on. And those are interesting guys. I mean, really, those are interesting guys. They're in the 60s, whatever. They have stories. They know why people, like why things are actually made like this. Yeah, believe it or not, I've met guys 10 years ago or 15 almost right now, whose job is to basically recognize the future. Yeah, their job is literally to try to predict 4 or 5 different directions of a future, and they are advising the CEO of Microsoft and other companies, like, look, we think that in 10 years the future will look like this. Yeah, and maybe it's not, but and that's interesting because a lot of things I learned from them 15 years ago is happening right now. And I can at least see, because we were talking with them, for example, on 4 different directions world might take, and right now some of them is happening. Yeah, so it's really interesting to look, especially with a bit of advice for people who are in the startup scene, to look at people who are long time in this industry and ask them the questions if you have opportunity. That's that's really something you can get really like nuggets of wisdom from them. So those were the most interesting technical people with a career I've met in my life.
But
not only from Microsoft, but this kind of persons.
So these people who forecast the future, they were technical. It's not about product strategy, business strategy, market capacity. It's more about technology, how technology will help.
They are trying to figure out how the world would look like in 10 years.
Okay.
Not technology.
Does it work for Gartner?
No,
okay.
Let's not go into this direction. I have a very critical point of view on Gartner.
Okay.
Those guys are, each of those companies, each of the big tech companies, they have people who are trying to predict the future of the world, not technology.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like business analyst plus for crazy amount of money plus technical background. Yeah. Amazing.
Plus being crazy, by the way.
Is it a minimum requirement for being a CTO, being a little bit crazy?
Yes. That depends. What Serge said for a wartime CTO, yes. Also, I think it's, you need to be able to think in a bit different way, because the simple stuff was solved already, and you need to know that this stuff, but then because basically you're being asked a question what to do, and then guys tell me if I'm wrong or not, but literally you don't know what to do sometimes, and then you need to make a shot or a call, and sometimes you need to be a bit crazy to say, like, look, we are dumping this and doing this, and then a lot of people will say, no, you're killing my product, whatever. No, we are doing this because that's right in 2 years from now.
So make a call.
I think in the end you need to. Sorry, I just wanted to comment on that. I think in the end you need to deal with a lot of uncertainty. I think you need to be even like peacetime or wartime, because in the end you make bets basically. And of course you observe then and you research then, but in the end no one knows the future basically. I also believe these guys they made a business out of not knowing the future and selling the future. So that's a skill in its own. But in the end, no one really knows, right? So, and I think you need to be crazy in the regard that you need to be fine with dealing with uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. I would say requirement is to be not only crazy, you're the person who has the power, but with big power comes huge responsibility. Some people saying it's like Churchill said, Winston Churchill said this phrase, somebody saying it's Spider-Man. So guess who? I just you can decide, but you must be a CTO, be accountable and responsible for your decision. If you're not, I'm sorry. Then I'm sorry, there is no responsibility in you. Just so crazy is a good thing to have, but sometimes might be without this. Depends.
Okay.
Exactly as Tomek.
By the way, I'm taking notes based on our conversation, so we can sum up for our audience your advice is actually here. So, Tomek, you mentioned making a call or asking for some advice. Does it mean that you need to build a community of advisors? Probably not inside the company, but probably on outside as well. Is it important for CTO to build this community of advisors?
So So first of all, I have a flow in my mind, literally, that I always work with some kind of a community. So even when I was just techie, sysadmin, whatever. So, and by the way, because I think Marcel said, just book your first like speaking engagement. Yeah. So I did my first in 2000, and that was like just
See,
first time in front of 300 people, whatever. Yeah.
it worked.
And but literally, this speaking engagement was the result of me working in a community. I spent a lot of time working in different communities, online, offline, and so on. I on one of the forums, I counted this. That was years ago, but I posted like 40,000 posts. Yeah, and so for me, having a community is always, being a part of it is always a good thing. Now, when you are progressing in the career towards technical leadership, not only CTO, and this is also, if you will watch the talk I did there, so it's what Serge said. The higher you are, the more backstops here. Yeah, like the decision is yours, and then the thing is that you don't know everything. Yeah. Now the question, like, if you will believe that you know everything, you are done. I mean, you really are done in the industry. Yeah, because you will make bad calls. Yeah. Now the question is whom you can ask. Yeah, because the guys you're coding with, your fellow developers, they might not be the right people to help you. Why? Because they haven't done it. So the question is, okay, you are progressing in the technical leadership, you are a CTO, you need to have somebody whom you are able to ask who did it, because literally there's no other way to know stuff. Just do it. Yeah. So a lot of problems you will be dealing with, actually they were solved. Like Serge said, he co-authored the book Elegant Puzzle. That's a brilliant book. It says about a lot of stuff. It gives you the shortcuts. Yeah. The other from the same engineer, that's the same. Yeah. And so then how you can ask those people. Yeah. And then the community, some kind of a community or the group, that's what you need to build. Yeah. And then the question is how to build it. So this is exactly why we started the CTO Morning Coffee in Poland, because we said, like, each of us is at some stage of leadership, technical leadership in Poland. And then we said, look, everybody are starting communities for developers, JavaScript, .NET, Java, whatever. You can find whatever technical community. There is no community of people who want to speak about how to hire a guy, how to fire a guy, how to recruit, how to do salaries, and so on. Yeah. So yeah, it's really important to have people to whom you can reach and ask the question and have a trust that they will not judge you. They will tell you their experience. They might not know it, but they have experience and they can share the experience. Like, look, in this situation, I did this. It worked, it didn't work. It had those consequences. Yeah.
What about advisors from non-technical background, but from business perspective? Do you have those? Is it important for CTO to have business advisors, market advisors, sales advisors, whatever you call it outside of tech?
My wife. Honestly, for example, just to let you know, where it was in one of the books I mentioned. So Andrew Jackson, who was the president of the United States in beginning of 19th century, he had a kitchen cabinet. So he had official cabinets of advisor, and he had kitchen cabinet. So unofficial advisors who told him what really happens in different industries, what really happens, what people say, and yada yada yada. If you have such community, it will be brilliant. Yeah, you can use Slack. For example, there is Slack, CTO Craft, and yada yada communities you can join, and you can ask questions like, what is your experience using tool A, B, C, D? I have my advisors from all these companies where I worked. I always have I'm connected to stick to good people. Yeah. So if you find somebody who is good sales, stick to them. Somebody who is good marketing, speak with them. Either you will help them with some work or projects or something, or they will help. It's all interconnected, all the universe interconnected. So having these cabinets, having this network, I don't remember, it was Gartner who published the research that 50% of CTO previous year were hired because of their network as a main first
That's
point.
always, I mean, network is always hiring, because the first, if you need to hire somebody, you go to network first, yeah? You don't go to the job board or whatever.
Especially for
You
positions,
learned by
actually.
now that I can speak a lot, but I will just add maybe one thing, like, I don't like the word advisor. I mean, advisor in the positive sense, that's what you said. Don't trust advisor who doesn't have a skin in the game. Like, they have to have some kind of a skin in the game, because there will be plenty of advisors who will tell you, like, this is good, this is good, this is good. Yeah. In the end, it's a question, are they doing it? Because if somebody is advising on the stuff they are not doing, don't listen to it. Yeah.
Okay, and I see that we have some questions from chat. So the person is asking, I'm the main tech lead in a small startup and have a team of 13 engineers. Our startup is not big, so we haven't set up a hierarchy of the positions in the company yet. Could you please tell us from what point I can be considered a CTO and whatever there is regarding important for product development? Whether this is regarding important for product development? Any practical cases?
So I think
Patient.
one question
I
would
can
be
tell you.
who.
Go on,
Well, I had
guys.
actually one question to understand it better. Like, who leads tech now? I mean, is it really 13 people with no organization?
13. I believe that the structure is pretty flat right now. And the person who is asking, he or she is a tech lead. So does it mean that this person is CTO already when they need to set up a hierarchy? Is it important to have a title CTO for product organization?
I mean, I
Thing
think
From
I'll
my
comment on title
uh,
first. You go first. It's fine.
Oh, oh, a lot of advices. So let's start in this order. Marcel, you will be first, actually.
Okay, I'll first. Well, personally, I really don't believe in titles, but that doesn't mean that you should completely ignore them, right? I mean, in the end, they can. It is kind of like a signal to the outside world, what have you done? But only kind of like to be like seen kind of like on the first level. They should not be bullshit, right? And this is really important because it's very easy to find out like if you really did the job, and if you have been through challenging situations on all these things by just talking to you, right? So I think the title basically is more like the result of having been in that situation. So the question is rather basically, okay, what challenges are you responsible for right now, and what do you want to, and how can you basically transition into that? And then at some point, I would also say, okay, put a label on it, so that in the future you can be found via that name. But it's important to do it this way around, not the other way around.
Okay, Tomek, do you want to add anything?
So I can add from, let's say, our experience. I think that 13 people team, that's might be too early to start to think about the structure and so on. I mean, like a huge structure, yeah. But what I would advise at the moment is, so basically, name the responsibilities. Like, okay, if we would have a CTO, what will be the responsibility of this CTO or tech lead, whatever, yeah? And then it might be that this responsibility right now will be carried by 4 different people. Each of them will do a part of it, yeah? Over time, this team will grow, and then there will be somebody who will have to take the responsibility, which is defined as CTO. And then it's a question, okay, am I doing it or not? Am I aspiring to it? Yeah, because it's not that, title matters, especially title might open you some doors. People from the outside of the world, they are reading the people in the industry by titles. So if they will be looking for a CTO, they will be looking at people who have a CTO and the size of a company. Yeah. But at this stage of a company, I would be looking more like, the question for me would be what I'm doing, or what I should do for all those people to look to me for being the leader. Yeah, because the title will not give you at this stage of a company. The title might be just a title. Yeah, it's actually, are you a person whom they are looking to for important decision in this area of technology. Yeah.
Okay, any advices from your search? I believe that you are backed up always with data, and probably you can say, when you hire a 21st engineer, you need to introduce a level of management.
My wife
Am I
and I
wrong?
having fun. Yes, you're right. Yes, like my wife had fun when we lived in Cyprus. I was I asked once my friends how to cook barbecue, and my friends had fun from me. Like, you need to cover 85% of. And then I stopped with my Germany, just stuff like German stuff sometimes is terrible. Yeah. So my common suggestion: there is a size of company which is predicted in some books. Typically, I'll be honest, from experience, when it's earlier than stage B, when it's less than 40 millions investment in the company, private equity, it's too early to give C-level titles for non-founders. This is very honest. Yes, this is from experience, at least, right? What I see in the world. Typically, minimum 100 plus employees. Yeah, this you can ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT will tell you the same, right? I just checked, by the way. I'm not kidding. Yeah. And secondary, I'll be honest, patience. If you will deliver, if you represent yourself to the C-level, they will make you CTO in this company, in other companies. That's my suggestion. Deliver, build your network, and proceed. You will get CTO in this company or other company. When it's less than 100 employees, too early. But it's just my opinion. It all depends on your company. I stopped being so much German when it's like, no, 100 people.
Usually tech people really loves data and like concrete facts. But again, from I'm not. I don't know the person.
100 plus people. I'll be honest. Series B in engineering must be at least 60 people. This is what I seen the minimum. Just like so, I saw more, but this was the minimum. I'll be honest. Between representative of around 50 companies, so no.
Just to back search with a real case example. Officially, I became a CTO when we crossed 120 or something. Yeah. Before that, I was just doing the job. Yeah. And then at 120, it's basically, we said like, look, okay, so we were like, because there was 4 of us founders and we were like covering different areas, but then it was, okay, somebody has to have a call, the final call in some area, and technical, Tomek, do you want to lead it? Yes. Okay. Yeah. At 120, that was the threshold. Yeah.
Again, let's be honest. There are a lot of folks here with as first founders with early stage startups, and they have a title of CTO because probably there is 2 of them working with the company, 3 of them. Yes. So you might be, again, I mean, I don't know about the background of the persons that ask this question, but the person for sure could be a tech lead and only doing this all duties of tech lead. But for investors, accelerators program, they will be named as CTO, and this is totally fine. And you mentioned about being founder. CTO is usually, the common story is being a founder, but if we'll back up it by numbers, which I really like, from a Y Combinator perspective, you consider as founder have more than 10% in the early stage startup. So to the person, if you're a founder and CTO, probably you'll have already this title. But the story, it's not about titles. It's more about the impact that you create right now and where you want to grow. So, really interesting question from our audience, and it led me to think about actually the minimum requirement for being a CTO. I've heard that person needs to have a tech background. It doesn't matter if the person joined from military, marketing, whatever requirement, at least this tech vertical, it should be in place. What else, folks? For all kinds of CTOs. First time CTOs, founders, established CTOs.
Okay, tech is required. You need to basically understand the tech. It's not even about coding, whatever. You need to understand the application of a tech for a business. Yeah. Then you need to work. If I would be looking back, what you need to work on is basically soft skills. Yeah, soft skills as hiring, doing the one-on-ones. I mean, working with people in different flavors. Yeah, and without that, you will be this technical, the smartest technical guy, but actually you will have a challenges, because part of being a CTO or technical leadership, again, is you need to even sell to other people your vision. You need to sell to the business your vision. You need to sell to people what you are leading. Yeah. And this requires like a soft skills of being able to speak right and speak. Literally, you need to be able to write in a consistent way. You need to be able to speak technology in a business terms. Nobody understands the technical jargon, especially when you're going to the financial rounds, whatever. Believe me, those people, they heard a lot of DEX stories, but they are not technical. So you need to be able to explain what you're doing, what you will do in a business terms. And majority of people who are, so guys, tell your side of how you see it, but majority of people who are aspiring to tech leadership, they are typically good at tech. Yeah. What they are lack is exactly understanding of people, communication, and this kind of business acumen. Yeah, because a lot of technical people think that, look, the technology is most important. No, it's bullshit. Technology is not important. Yeah. In the end, you can build a website and sell it with the Excel behind it. As long as it does the job, it does the job. Yeah. So it's okay. So you need to work on that. Now there is a lot of skills inside it. Yeah. But I would start with looking at, working with people, communication skill, presentation, a bit of marketing. Really, you need to know a bit of marketing. Yeah. Learning business terms, financial terms. If somebody will tell you EBITDA, you need to understand what it is. If somebody takes cost of sold goods, you need to understand what it is. Yeah. You need to understand how the salary is being paid. Yeah. You need to understand how the money are flowing through your business. Yeah. We were running, by the way, within our company the workshop, which took 2 days, how the business works. So we were explaining literally to the people what it takes for a company to operate, from like how the money flows, how we acquire customers, who is putting the proposals together, how HR contributes to it, where recruitment goes, and when finally somebody is paying us. Yeah. I bet if we will ask the audience when they think their company is being paid, they would be wrong. Like, your company is probably being paid 100 days after you do the job. Yeah.
Right.
And then at the end of this workshop, one of the senior guys approached me and he said, it's the first time in 12 years of my career when somebody explained to me how the money goes through the company. He didn't know that. Yeah. And he was really senior technical guy, 12 years in the industry, and he didn't know how the company operates. So if you're and I'm closing, but if you're in a company right now, technical, you are aspiring to be technical leadership, go to the other people like HR, recruitment, sales, finance, ask them what they do. Ask them like what they literally do. Let them explain you like why what they do is important. Yeah. And understand it, and then think how technology translate to this. Yeah. Like how what you're doing can improve that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was long.
And at the end of the day, you understand that engineering is not the most important role in the company. There are a lot of important roles. It makes money actually for a company.
Yeah.
Marcel, go ahead.
Maybe to add briefly to that. On the other hand, I agree to everything that has been said. Just maybe to add a note that you don't need to have seen everything. Because sometimes I see also that technical people basically really follow it too much, like a checkbox list. It's also just required, to go in that situation. To face challenges. And to kind of like be proactive. And in a way also to show that confidence, that you will also handle situations that you haven't met yet. So I think that was one note, and the second is also in your current level, like say for example as lead, I was once asked, hey, I've done this now for a few months, and the team is very happy, which was true. I said also like, okay, a bit of patience is required, because how many challenging situations have you had yet? How many times did you go into one-on-one and there was a conflict? What challenges did you solve? Like, when did you need to communicate a difficult message to a team member? So also there, it's not just purely about what skills it are, but also to what extent, what situations have you faced? Not saying again that you need to have everything covered, so I'm basically saying don't wait 20 years, but also give it a bit of time and not just 3 months, so you need to have a bit of exposure to what you're doing.
I have two pieces, one inspirational, one more just what is my path and what path I've seen. So one is more inspirational. So imagine just your company is a fleet, right? So you have a ship. Remember this person who asked, I'm engineering manager, engineering technical leader for this team. Here is your ship. Just you as a captain, perfect. But imagine company has different, just ships next to you. There is marketing, sales, and yada yada. There is admiral, right? And admiral is typically CEO and something, So when you grow to bigger ship, you responsible. It's not only just that you gain more power, better title, and yada yada. You have responsibility. You must know you need to learn how to not only do your part of how to clean the ship, how to fix the ship, but how to lead the ship, how to come to some particular point, navigation, yada yada. This is inspirational, practical, Engineering, my path was very simple, Start from technology, deliver, get the things done. You are visible. You will become visible. Start learning product. It's so simple. You work with product managers every day. Start learning what the hell is product. Start delivering products. Learn that engineering and products should be happy marriage. It's so simple. It should be happy, right? Then you will start learning services, because you will have customers, right? When you have customers, you will need to explain things, what you do. This is marketing. Then you will learn finances, sales and finances. Then you might be CTO, more or less.
Right, a lot of
The strangest,
exploration.
by the way,
talking to people.
practically the strangest beast I've met, that mostly during the recruitment, because those guys were not recruited, was the guys who said I want to be a senior technical person, but I don't want to speak to customers. Somebody said literally on the recruitment call, somebody said I want to be architect, but I just want to deal with technology. I don't want to speak to those people. Not going to cut it.
Yes, for sure. For being a good CTO or tech leader, you need to love people, invest in your team, hire the best talent for your team, for your company, for sure. And I want just also to kind of challenge you. I know that a lot of tech people, they're more on introverted side rather than extroverted. And is it necessarily for a successful CTO to be an extrovert? Or it's okay to be an introvert and lead a big team and create a huge impact on the team?
I'm
You can
totally
definitely be
introvert,
introvert.
so judge by yourself.
Okay, so we're going to introduce an order. Tomek, you will be first here. I didn't hear your answer, to be honest.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I said I'm introvert. If I will take any psychological test, whatever, it will show you that I'm introvert. It's not required to be extrovert to be in a leadership position. It's being introvert is just how you rest, how you gather energy. It's not about the rest is skills. I mean, speaking to people is skill. It doesn't matter or what personality or it's skill. You can learn it. That's it.
Okay, Serge, what are your thoughts on that?
Marcel,
Is it true?
Search, yeah.
No, I'm just I will say a second Tomek. It's just different skills. Can be introvert, can be extrovert. So more so maybe you have different opinion.
100%. I mean, you definitely can be introvert. What I would say, it shouldn't be confused with passiveness. I think you need to have some certain amount of proactivity, to jump onto problems, and want to solve them. But you can be an introvert.
All right. So we're going to wrap up our session pretty soon, but the last questions from my side to enable our audience and guide them with some useful tips. So let's imagine that I'm a senior engineer or technical manager right now. Which advice would you give me to bootstrap my career and become the more senior tech leader? We won't name the name. Director, engineering manager, CTO. Different companies have different names and different definition of that. But some useful advice, probably the advice that you gave to yourself back you were young. What would you do to accelerate your journey to the position? And I see that Serge is still thinking about that, but Tomek looks like Tomek has an answer for that right now. Do you?
You see, I always you cannot start with me. So as you can see, I'm totally introvert. You cannot start with asking me question. I always have something to say, even when I have my own podcast. So my motto there is, I have an opinion. I am not afraid to share it. So
Awesome.
look, there is a plenty of opinions, like advices I can give you, but it's a lot of problems of what or advices were given. There is a brilliant book, really, Staff Engineer, and basically get it and read it. Why? Because of course, book is not like 100% recipe, yeah, but it's really like a pill with a lot of advices, which starts with explanation that there are different leadership roles, and because you want to be leadership, but what kind of a leadership do you want to be? Like, there is a guy, not because he passed away, Kim Cameron. You probably never heard about the guy. He's big in identity space. Basically, he got 60 years of career, and he said, like, look, I cannot be a manager. And highly positioned people in Microsoft, because he was at Microsoft, basically took care about him to not give him direct reports. So he was like a really senior person in Microsoft. He never got a direct report, yeah, because he was individual contributor. Yeah.
Did you work with him? Did you work with him? I heard about him.
I met
did
him.
You work with...
I met him.
Yeah.
No, I met him. I worked with him in the terms that I had the workshops with him. We even had some brief exchanges of our blogs because, we like corresponded. We were corresponding on the blogs. He was, just to give you the example, that was really brilliant person. One of the persons who moved the needle. He basically, when he retired, Bill Gates called Microsoft and told them to get him back from retirement. Yeah, cool. So that's. But look. I just brought him because if he will be looking for a traditional career, which you're thinking about, like I'm managing people, whatever, that wasn't his type of being technical leader. He was a leader who was inventing the direction going forward, and he was individual contributor. So you need to understand where you can apply your skills. And this is type of an individual contributor. And also this book outlines pretty well like the situation you will find yourself in. Yeah, I mean that it's a different type of job. Yeah, you're a developer, you're tech lead, you're leading the huge team of developers, but that's different type of job. Yeah, and you will go there, you are starting a new job. Yeah, so you're not prepared for it. How you start this new job? You need to take on a challenge. The company will have a challenge, not technical one. They will have a business challenge. And then you will have to be the person who will say, I will solve it. And then you have to solve it. So, it's really a lot of small pieces which are well described in this book. So if you're thinking about it, I always recommend go and read 2 books, The Manager's Path. I know with Serge we mentioned that. So one is The Manager's Path and the second is Staff Engineering. And from those 2 books, you will get a pretty good idea what might be expected from you as a tech leadership. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to post a link to these books under our YouTube translation. So guys, you'll be able to grab that after the session. Marcel, do you have any comments on that or your advices?
Yeah, my advice is, well, if you gave the scenario that you are basically currently in that position right now. So I would say talk to the person being responsive to make that call, right? I mean, basically because this shows, you have this courage and the proactivity to make it a topic. First of all, this is a skill that you probably need in that situation anyway, in this position. And secondly, that person can outline you where he sees you so far and what's missing, right? So this is very, very concrete. But more so, I want to say, generally speaking, I think, in this call, you have received lots of different advices right now. So, and most importantly is that you also realize at some point it's not so much anymore what information you might need, right? Because at some point it's more important how do you translate this into action. So what I would advise, is sit down after this meeting here, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and write down one thing, a small little action, one step into this direction that you can implement this week.
100%. I mean, by the way,
+1. Go, Mark.
Go ahead,
Tomek,
Tomek.
sorry.
yeah, it's 100% what you said. I mean, when we were doing the company, even so, we said like one of the values in a company and let's say motto is everyone delivers. Yeah, so even if I was CTO, I still was on the projects. So basically, there is whatever you think. I mean, not you as Serge, Marcel here, but in the audience. Nothing will get you there if you're not delivering your shit. Sorry for language, but really, you need to deliver. And this might be tech, this might be something. And what you Marcel, said is also part of this. It's really described very well in this book, Staff Engineering, because it says literally that your boss will have a problem, and he will ask somebody to solve the problem. The question is, will you raise your hand or not? Yeah, and that's literally in the end. I will solve this problem, and then you take it, you solve it, you deliver, and this is how you build position. Yeah.
And you move on.
At the end of the day, CTO has a boss, and usually this is boss or CEO at least, or if you're in the at the tech leadership position. I'm sorry, like director, head of engineering. Still, you might have somebody, some tech leaders that you're reporting to, but at the end of the day, you need to help your boss to do their job and really like the advice. So ensure it doesn't matter who you report to, CEO or CTO or probably director. Ensure that you're helping them to achieve their OKRs, their goals, and help them to do the job.
And it's two ways, yeah, because we all know why we live in the companies, right? We come into a company just like for the vision, and we live in very often because of our managers. Make sure that you always helping your manager, but your manager is your trainer if you want. Yeah, just like so. If you watch like Kung Fu Panda, remember just like you need to learn to give more than you get. I'm not kidding. It's just like it's so important, and your trainer's Kung Fu trainer is your manager. Yeah, just like so. My advice, like a few practical advices. Take executive coach if you want, if you're at this stage. It's freaking expensive. If you're not ready, take English lessons, start writing email, start writing your blog. Oh my God. Start speaking at the conference. Yeah. Many years ago, my wife just pushed me to start my blog, start speaking at the conferences, start speaking at such events. It gives you the network. It allows you to learn people. I'm sorry, so sometimes you need to shut up and listen. Yeah, just like your people around you, your network, your family in the end. Yeah, start learning from them. You will learn so much. Yeah, just like, and it's most, sorry for my language, but don't be a jerk and do what you love.
Yeah. Recognize when you are. I mean, each of us will be a jerk in some situation, and then you need to recognize that you are. I think that's a common theme also, but what Serge says right now, like writing the blog, doing something. So when we were having this discussion in our CTO morning coffee, so in the end, it comes down to have an opinion and a voice. Like you need to, literally, if you want to do something in a tech and progress to the leadership, you need to have a voice, because then this voice is being listened to. Yeah. If you're even the great person, you know all the things, and then you don't share it, you don't speak, you don't write, people will not see you. Yeah. The one piece of advice I will give you, like to the audience, is that especially, but that here comes marketing part. Yeah. And that's why also you need to learn it a bit, like of a marketing, like don't write blogs, how to change a bit flag in some one product version, whatever. Nobody's interested in it. Write about like what you're doing, your daily challenges, but write about something people are interested in. Yeah? Because yes, you know how to change this single bit in this library, whatever, you hacked it. Nobody's interested in it, believe me. I mean, your fellows on the coding team, they are, but in the broader, that's not a voice. But have an opinion why you're doing this in this way. Yeah, why you started the journey of changing, flipping this bit, why it was important to flip it. Yeah, so this kind of voice, but having a voice is important. All the people I've met who are CTOs or VPs, whatever, the common theme is that they have a voice, they have a blog, podcast, they are speaking, because that gives you the recognition and the voice. Yeah.
Use what you have, right? Because we have AI these days, right? Make sure that it's your best friend. Yeah. When I was in Australia, I had 1 day to prepare a presentation. Thanks God there was on slides.com they added AI. It just filled me up. Make sure that you're using the tools you have. I'm not kidding. Yeah, just like, so you have ChatGPT,
No,
you have
yeah.
other parts. I'm not kidding. Yeah, just like everything what you have, just use it. It's helpful. Yeah.
Right. So awesome. And as I've said, I've been taking some notes based on our conversation today. So what I've heard to sum up today from you guys, what I caught is actually, if you want to be a great CTO tech leader, don't do it via coding. You are not going to achieve that. Stop. I'm not saying stop coding. It needs to be hands-on, but go and do your work and explore your other skills that you require, business skills and person skills, soft skills. Be a business translator. Don't talk to your CEO in nerdy language, but know how to explain what you're doing to business people. Get involved in hiring process and do it today. If your company is hiring, just volunteer yourself. Build a network of advisors, which is buzzwords here, but build your network and understand of different people, technology people, CTOs, sales, marketing, and so on. So if you have a really hard problem, you can ask a question. Be accountable and responsible for your decisions. Quoting the search here. Be brave to face challenges and deal with uncertainty, which goes with a lot with a CTO and high level technology leader position. Be a great leader, read books, talk to people, go to events, challenge yourself and speak at the conferences, do your different meetups, and just invest in yourself. So I'm super grateful, guys, that you had the time to join our session today. Your background is interesting, very diverse, amazing. I believe that you invested a lot of years and lots of pain in the work, and I'm happy that you succeed in your career path and can share right now these awesome stories. So we already had about 5 or 6 meetups this year, and we have gathered already audience of 600 people. Our community is growing faster and faster with this each meetup. And we are interested actually to hear a feedback from you guys, from our audience. What is your needs? What is the most important topic for you? Therefore, we are running a customer survey. If you register for Meetup, you received already or is going to receive and survey to your email. And we will also post it in the description of this broadcast. We'll be super grateful for your activity. Again, we are doing it to form a great community. Join our community, join also Tomek community, subscribe to his YouTube channel. We're going to post links to a LinkedIn and a blog post and YouTube channels of oral speakers after the session. On August 1st, we will give away an hour-long mentoring session, which is going to be hosted by me. So it's a prize that you might get if you contribute in the survey. So as a reminder, the next offline meetup will be held on July 25th, the last Tuesday of this month. The next online meetup will be held on August 8th. Follow them for announcements on our official pages at Dev Challenge and Unicity. I'm happy to have you here, guys. Enjoy your evening and see you soon.